it's evolutionary and you get to evolve every day. And if you choose to, put the blinders on, which a lot of people do, because you have to be aware. And that awareness is like, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to do stuff that like I've never done before.
Right.
I'm going to try new things, and trying new things is potential failure, but you have the courage.
Welcome, everybody, to a very exciting episode, one that's actually quite different. I'm so happy to have our guest, Steph Kafoury, here. Now, if you're a regular listener, you know that a lot of times, all the times actually, we've talked about what it means to deal with grief after losing somebody. I mean, maybe there's one episode where we go into a few other types of losses, but we haven't really picked another type of loss and dove into it. And I wanted to do that today. One, because I just went through it. Two, because I've just gotten to know Steph and I feel like she has a lot to offer all of us around the details of what it means to be divorced, get divorced, and live in that type of grief. There's millions and millions and millions of us out there who've endured a divorce. And I know for sure, for me and the people I know and love, there's an enormous amount of grief attached to that. And I think I want to be able to help those people. So, Steph, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to share my experience and what I hope will be a really beneficial podcast for everyone.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
How do we know each other, Steph?
So, funny enough, in full transparency, Sarah is my therapist. Yeah.
Lucky me.
Lucky me, because I just found her about 2 months ago. So we just started working together, and the connection, I think, came for a multitude of reasons, but really we connect. I felt this connection with someone who was going through something similar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think we need to create, is community and space to open up about divorce and to destigmatize it and to really feel all the feels that come with it.
Yeah. It's interesting because if you are one of my clients, some people know almost nothing and others know more than maybe I would normally share, because sometimes the story that I'm listening to is so aligned with the one I'm living that it's hard not to use it as an opportunity to just deepen the connection.
Yes.
And both Steph and I have gotten a divorce in the last few years. Yours was how long ago?
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago. Mine started about that long ago. And, even if you're the one who chooses to leave or you're the one being left, like, I don't know that the grief is necessarily tied to that decision. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I say this all the time. So I coach women through divorce, and I say this to them: you will experience the rainbow of emotions. Mm-hmm. And grief is absolutely one that we need to address and talk about in a way that feels authentic to you, because it can be that you're angry, right? And that's a stage of grief. Mm-hmm. And how do you sit in the anger? Mm-hmm. And then you have to go through all of that to get to acceptance and forgiveness. And I think when we can sit in grief and actually feel and not try to get out of it as quickly as possible, but sit in if it's anger, if it's sadness, if it's, just noticing the story that you've created of what you thought your life was going to look like.
Right. Even if you decided you didn't want that life anymore.
Yes.
And then now what? There was still a dream, right? Okay, so you're a divorce coach. What does that mean?
So that means that I help men and women transition from the we in the relationship to me.
Okay.
And I help them through the journey of how do I know what's the next step? And that's emotionally and even pragmatically. What step do I take to make a decision? Mm-hmm. How do I find clarity? How do I find myself?
Yeah. Where did I go?
Mm-hmm.
And like grief, yeah. I mean, it's like a period of redefinition. Everything's once again on the table, and all the things that seemed normal about life have changed. And even if normal was, let's just say, terrible, it's still changed, right? And even if it's for the better, it's still different. A few weeks ago, I was just really struggling with grief, and it was shocking to me that one of the people I was compelled to reach out to, I didn't because it was not aligned with our boundaries right now, but was my ex-husband to be like, I need to fall apart in front of somebody. And granted, I don't think it's going to like go super well for me, but he's seen it all. So I know that I can do this thing in front of this person and what to expect, right? And so like those ties are so strong that it's something to learn to live without, even if it's what you've chosen.
Absolutely. And Sarah, this just happened to me last night. I was holding grief for my daughter. So we're in bed and she says, "Mom, I really miss Dad." So the context of the story is it's her first night back with me. She's been with her dad, and I really miss Dad. And then she said, "And when I'm with you, and when I'm with Dad, I really miss you."
Oh,
so I'm holding this container of allowing her to grieve and for her to feel. And then my heart is breaking.
Right.
Because that's not the life I envisioned for my children.
Right.
And she's the youngest of my 3 kids, and she's the feeler. She's like me. She expresses it. There's no filter. And that passion, right? That's what I want her to have that. And I also know the other end of the spectrum is you can feel a lot of pain.
Yeah. I mean, this is life, right? Like suffering is living, and whether or not you're young or old or never have, but someday will, I mean, it's just part of the human experience. Okay. I have to back up and ask a statistics question.
Yes.
Do you have more women clients than men?
I have a lot more women clients.
But you do have men clients.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I'm glad to know that.
It's a smaller percentage, and I'm hoping more men will take the opportunity to do coaching, because it's something that okay, I think maybe we should clarify too how it differentiates from therapy.
Oh yeah, what's the difference between you and me, other than the color of our hair?
And that we're both wearing. I mean, not planned, but our outfits.
I'm glad, because I normally wear white, and today I was like, I'm going to try black, and there we are.
And there we are. So, so in coaching, there's no diagnosis. And we don't go back into past trauma and past history. There's obviously stuff will come up that is part of the past, but it's really dealing with what's happening in the present moment, and it's what result do you want? And I help people, like if it's a mindset shift, or if it's really going into your body and noticing things, it's about awareness to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, that's not so different.
It's not so different.
But the diagnosis part, right? And the billing.
And the billing. And I have, I did a year-long certification and training. And so there's definite, like, but I didn't go to, didn't go to my clinician,
all the other
and all the
details and
boards
hoops.
And all of that. Yeah.
Good for you. No, I'm just kidding. Board of Licensed Social Workers. I love you guys. I do think, though, that even in my own experience, somebody who talks and breathes and lives grief all the time, like there was still this sort of resistance to allowing it to be grief, because I mean, in my situation, the writing had been on the wall for a while, and I don't know if it was exclusively driven by having to share the loss of a child, how 2 people find themselves wandering away from each other, if only we could dive into the brains of all the ways in which that unfolds. Anyway, I resisted this sense of grief because I knew it was right. I knew it was actually what was best for my kids. I knew it was best for me, likely best for him. But now, I do notice all the similarities of the grief experience, like the period of redefinition. Who am I? And also this idea that, like, don't do that too soon, or you should hurry up and get back out there. Like, when somebody dies, we're either being told, get back to your busy life, distract yourself, or you need to take more time. Like 50-50, folks. And same with divorce, like get back on the horse, or you need more time. You're not ready. Yeah. You're not ready. And so what would you say to people who are like grievers, death grievers, saying, how do I know when it's time?
I would say shut out the noise and listen, go inward and trust yourself, because that, and I'm curious to hear from your experience too, but from my experience and from coaching people through this, is that there is no timeline. It's some people are like, I will never date again, and I never want to. And some people are like, I'm in love a couple of months later. And we also, it's a mystery too. It's a mystery of life. And I would say, allow yourself the freedom to not have an end result. So if
Whoa. I'm sorry, Stephanie. I like end results, so we're going to need to reframe that one here for my mind. What do you mean no end results? Just roll the dice and see how it goes?
Well,
Can you see the sweat?
But when you really are, when you're really present in this experience and you're aware as you go through this, because that's the unveiling, right? I'm taking off the mask. I'm not gonna brush anything under the rug. I'm gonna peel back the layers of who I am and really, really get to know yourself, because that's the essence of it through this process, because we can get on the treadmill and just keep going.
Yeah. Well, and a theme that happens so often, well, two themes that I'm thinking of right now. One is trust the friggin' process, which is so barfy sometimes, right? I mean, that is just the barfiest thing to do, because sometimes the process is so painful. And to think I'm going to trust a universe that's betrayed me, a person that's betrayed me, a process that has not landed in my favor, and you want me to trust the process. I don't know that you have another choice. Just saying. I mean, maybe if you have another choice, please feel free to let me know, because I can't come up with it unless it's resistance, and that isn't helpful. And it takes up a lot of juice, you know. And the other theme is that we are constantly being challenged all through life: divorce, marriage, death, not death, jobs, like to die to who we once were.
Yes.
And be the person we are today. And I think what I hear you saying too is like, allow that new version, even if it's like a dirty old scummed up, scuffed up version, be the one who's showing up to this process.
Absolutely. You know, I often say you're sitting in the dentist chair with no Novocaine.
Oh gosh.
So it can be painful. It can be, you know, that you're going to make it through it, because we have evidence that we can do hard things. But when you're in it, feels like, oh my gosh, no one knows what I'm going through. Yeah. I'm isolated. And just an example for me, I have an identical twin sister, as you know, and she's my best friend and my soulmate, but she's been happily married and met her husband in college. And I didn't have that connection. I didn't have someone who was like the closest person to me who really understood.
Yeah.
And so there's that feeling of being alone.
Totally. It is very, I mean, one of my dear friends had endured a divorce a few years prior, but it was just so drastically different of an outcome and situation that even then there feels like this isolation or distance that's naturally there, because what we do is we seek to find people in community who understand what we're going through. And, you know, I talk a lot about competitive grief, and I don't think that there's really any good purpose for it. And it's one thing to say, I too have lost my mom. I can only imagine how hard it is for you, blah, blah, blah. But if you're comparing a non-death grief to a death grief, just please don't. That's just my only little asterisk thing here right now. Yes. But otherwise, we are really thirsty for people who can understand at some level what we're going through. And I mean, that's why I'm a judgy griever, because I really don't want to hold on to a lot of grief talk that isn't with somebody who's lost a child, because you just can't possibly.
You can't understand.
You just can't possibly. And if you're not divorced, or your divorce ended up this way or that way, it's really hard to understand. So like, just stop trying to understand. And what does it mean to just be present with each other, right?
Well, because you're going to have the critics, right, who are going to be chirping in your ear saying, like you said before, just get out there. Go have sex. Like, just try it. It's been 20 years since you've had another partner. And then you're going to have the people who are like, for your kids, take it really slow and maybe don't have another partner and just focus on your kids. And you're like, you're getting these mixed signals from people who have never actually been through it.
Right. And who do I choose to let down this time? As a lifetime person who disappoints those around me, who this time should I disappoint? That's my internal dialogue. Which of you will still love me after the terrible decision I'm about to make? But ultimately, like, you have to face those stories, right? And say, like, whose skin is actually in this game? And maybe it's the naked skin in the game. But, nonetheless, it's whose skin is in the game. Yes, and if you have children, naturally your primary purpose is to protect them. But that doesn't mean at the risk of all happiness and joy. I don't think.
Absolutely. No, I think it's a balance. And nothing's absolute. So it's organic. You can make a decision. You'd be like, that was the wrong decision.
Oh, so you can learn from
You
things.
can learn.
Wow, that's called wisdom of the experience, folks. And you too can have it if you just pay attention.
Yeah.
And continually let the person that's alive today make the decisions. Because the minute we forget that we've died to who we were yesterday, we might let them make the choices and decisions for us, and they don't have all the information.
And that's the rebirth. That's what the beautiful part of becoming yourself. And it's evolutionary, and you get to evolve every day. And if you choose to, put the blinders on, which a lot of people do, because you have to be aware. And that awareness is like, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to do stuff that like I've never done before.
Right.
I'm going to try new things, and trying new things is potential failure, but you have the courage to get up and you're like, all right, that didn't work. I'm going to try something new.
Yeah. You have to. I mean, you always have choices. And so your choice could be that you lie in bed for the next 10 years. That's your choice. I'm not attached, but I do think that you have more than that choice. And to try something new might be very small, like a new route to work, because I've been driving the same route and that's attached to this departure every morning in this way. And, maybe you just toss it up a little bit like that. Or maybe you do something crazy like speed dating and you're like, wow, this is really putting it all out there. I mean, you can choose, but ultimately, knowing that there are no absolutes. And if you didn't learn that by getting divorced, then I don't know what to tell you, because you probably thought one day at the beginning, this is a sure thing, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I mean.
But I think we all, to some degree, have this notion of happily ever after.
Totally.
And we were kind of like, okay, we said yes, thinking that this was going to be my life partner. And then when that dissolves, and I think a lot of people have kind of a hang up with the word divorce, and I actually I'm like, let's reclaim it, because it actually is a divorce. It's a division. You physically are dividing what assets, your children, a home. I mean, it's raw. It's real. It's not just like a simple decision. It's a very complicated legal decision that you're making to dissolve an agreement that you made with someone to, hug and hold and care for in sickness and health, and then it's like you have to disentangle.
Yeah. And I mean, I hate to be the Debbie Downer, but in a divorce, like, everybody loses something. Everybody loses something, and we can't toxic positivity our way out of it, because somebody's going to lose the picture that's been hanging on the wall for 40 years. Somebody's going to lose the car that they thought would be theirs for the next 5 years. Somebody's going to lose half of their money, like everybody's going to lose something. Kids are going to lose time with their parents. Parents are going to lose time with their kids. And I think we just sort of skip over that deep truth that there is truly a loss here. And even if it's for the best, which hopefully it is, but it's both, I guess.
It's what you and I talk about so often, Sarah. It's the duality. And both of those things can coexist at the same time. Yeah. You can feel relief and gratitude and joy, and you can feel suffering and sadness and anger, and they can almost be in the same moment.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was one of the biggest things for me, is this expansiveness and awakening into like, wow, this can be so hard.
Yeah.
And I still see the sunshine.
And it's supposed to be hard, right? Like, doing all that is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be painful. And I don't think that a new love erases the grief. I think that, like all grief, it's one that stays with you till the end of time, because it's a tremendous loss, this isn't how I thought things were going to be. I had a different plan.
And what's interesting, something maybe to even just mention, and maybe for you and I to explore, is when you do have kids, that child or those children are half you and half them. So you're living in grief almost every day, because you're seeing part of your ex-partner in your children.
I refuse to do that. I only see myself.
I only see the good.
I only see mini-me's. Yeah. So no, I do see it, but I know what you're saying. Yeah. And yes, it's true. I mean, my son did something the other day where he kind of hopped into the bedroom. I was like, oh gosh, that's your dad right there. That's really funny.
So everyone kind of comments that when my kids do well at math, and they attribute it to my ex-husband, I'm like, well, what about me?
Yeah,
like,
no kidding.
Just because he what he is, an engineer, like it's automatically assumed. I will give him credit for their math intelligence, but I also would like a little bit of it credit for that.
No wonder the grief's there every day.
Right.
You're good at math.
Thank you.
Know it. I know
Thank
it. Cameras, Steph and I were terrible, but that's okay. We're learning, trying something new. This whole video part has got me really sweaty, high blood pressure because it's such a learning curve. Okay, so going back to men versus women, and I'm not trying to set us up against each other. I'm just really honestly curious. The things that men say as like their chief concerns or their biggest struggles, are they different than what women say during this process?
It's a really good question. I think that a lot of women go to the emotional side and a lot of men go to the pragmatic side. And that's not to say that women aren't stressed about finances. That's one of the number one things about divorce that is really stressful for women, because they're maybe they are the highest breadwinner, but maybe they've taken a step back in their career, and so there's a lot of uncertainty around that. For men, I think it's trying to get back in touch with their emotions, and especially if that's not something that they ever did through therapy or in their family system. And so they're learning like, oh, wow, I'm dealing with a lot of emotion right now, and it's overwhelming, and I don't know how to channel it.
Well, and that makes me think like you get divorced, but you're still left with yourself. And you are part of the reason why you're divorced.
Yes.
So,
Well,
like, chances are you got some work to do somewhere.
And I think that's sort of this, some people want to just blame. Like I am, like, it's all them. I'm the victim, and I want to stay in victimhood because it feels really good and people feel sorry for me and it feels safe. And the challenge is that, I mean, I think almost everyone can say they know someone who's like 10 years, 20 years down the road still talking about their divorce. And so you get to, I think what's rich about this time is that you get to frame that story.
Yeah.
You get to decide, like, in 20 years, do I want to be that person who's still like, he cheated on me and I was blindsided? Or do you want to be the person that's like, you know what? It didn't work out for a variety of reasons, and I'm so happy because I am more myself than I've ever been before.
Well, that's just it. Like, this is the time to be more yourself than you ever have before. And I think that's the only platform to like truly move forward in a way that's going to serve you. And if yourself means that you don't take a shower for a week and you crawl around on the floor because it's the week you don't have your kids and you barely eat or you only eat crap, okay.
Yeah.
Do it up. Like, now's the time to figure out how this is going to go. Now, is that sustainable? No. But it might be part of it, It's anything that feels right to you in the moment. That's safe, of course, but that is going to help you on the path. And you guys have heard me talk about it if you've heard me before. And if not, I really believe in this idea that we can define our path to healing. And the cultural definition of healing so often doesn't actually fit what one needs, because the cultural definition of healing doesn't often include the wound. And so in order to heal, in order to know I'm on a path to healing, I quantify it with things that are applicable to me, my life, my period of redefinition. Like, I'm on the path to healing when I don't crawl around on the floor when I don't have my kids, when I actually made plans to do something other than be so sad that I don't have them. Or I'm on the path to healing when I know that I like designated this time to be really sad that I don't have my kids right now. You get to decide what that looks like for you. But I think if we pause and create that quantifiable, qualitative measurements around healing for ourselves, we can really look and see the progress.
Yes.
And I use the word progress loosely, but we can see the shift. Let's say the shift, right? Because there's always a shift occurring.
There's always a shift. And it's like the first time I dropped my kids off at their dad's, I broke down. I mean, it was like I was on my knees crying. I couldn't drive out of his driveway. And I'll never forget that moment.
What'd you tell yourself?
My grandma said this, with anything in life, this too shall pass. But I didn't want to cover it up. I didn't want to stop it. And so I let myself feel it. Like, it was pretty gnarly. Like, I mean, it was like the big cry, the sobbing, and the kids were all inside. So it wasn't, I had the freedom to feel. So I wasn't trying to mask it for them to be like, I'm strong. And I either called my mom or my sister, and they just held that space for me.
So you're telling me you got support?
Yes. And that's what I'd say to all the listeners out there is allow that space for support. And don't be afraid to reach out to, your therapist, a coach, friends, family, people that you really trust.
Yeah.
And people that, as you said earlier on the podcast, that will hold that space for you.
Yeah.
Because the periphery people, they're going to be the critics.
This is true. And would you say that it's okay to give your solid people feedback about their support?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not helpful, or that is so helpful.
Yeah. And like I've said to people before, please don't, in this moment, I don't want to hear negative things about my ex or about our relationship. That's not helping me.
Mm-hmm. I've said similar things like, look, everybody, my kids have to love their dad no matter who they're with. And so we are going to create and cultivate that environment.
Yeah.
That's it. It's got to be separate. And for listeners, like going through it, what are, having your own experience, having talked to so many people, having gone through it and in the middle of it, what would you say, like top 3 or more or whatever, like most important things that you can do for yourself to I don't want to say efficiently, but like strategically move through the process. And I know that requires a lot of just like trust, but there's always something that like we could remind ourselves to do.
I think the first thing is to allow yourself to feel. It's just to notice, because sometimes we don't even notice. And I even tell people, attach an emotion to it, because we're so used to just being happy, sad.
And if you're sad, you might not be grateful. So then that's a really dangerous territory, right?
Yeah. And that you can also be like picking those emotions that are less known, right? Those like maybe you're feeling shame, or maybe you're feeling aggressive. I mean, there's embarrassed and really naming that. And then I think that helps to just kind of be in that space. Feel it, know that this too shall pass. So it's almost like being in that mindfulness space of like almost looking at it as like, this is going to be like a screen, like a movie screen, and the dialogue, the film is going to keep moving.
Well, and the hardest of times, like don't let the fear that it might stay, should you go into that room, that you can't get back out, because the hardest of times, like Steph said, they too shall pass, much like the greatest times in life also will pass. So like be in the moment, knowing it won't last forever. And don't let that be one of the reasons why you are too, your resistance is so strong to the actual feeling.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I want to go back to what I said before about sometimes when I say it's not helpful to say something about my ex, sometimes it is helpful. Sometimes you need the reminder. Why? Because our minds will go back to a place of unicorns and rainbows sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we need to be reminded, okay, there was a reason, because when times are hard, you can shift back into, if I just stayed, I wouldn't be in this. And then to laugh. Like I have a friend who's like, I'll bring my shovel. I'll dig the ditch. Like, I got you. I got you, girl.
Yeah. And
that humor, right?
Yes.
Like we have to laugh in this. There's like, otherwise we'd be sometimes at home crying all the time.
Exactly. And I don't know if it matters how long you were married, but I was married for almost 20 years. And after that, and together much longer than that. But like, that's a person who has found a cemented place in my life that is also being redefined. But now it's being redefined with all sorts of really crazy stuff, and really hurtful things and really difficult things and things that I know too, like, because I believe it's in there, like we are so aligned in ways, but like, wow, we can't takes a minute to get there sometimes, right? Like Absolutely. In the words, I know deep in the heart or the bottom of the toes, the same thing is felt, but that be patient. Would that be one of the things you would tell people to do?
Absolutely. Be patient and really like care for yourself. And if that means going on, a retreat, or if that means something small, like when I'm drinking my tea or coffee in the morning, I'm present in that.
Yeah. Just the gift of intention almost.
The gift of intention. And it, I think sometimes we think it has to be this grand gesture, but if it's something that it's, we've talked about daily rituals of something small. And, before I go to bed at night, I have these little coral heart-shaped rocks by my bed. I hold one of them and I just say what I'm grateful for. And it can be super simple.
How much does that cost?
Free.
Oh, it's free.
It's free.
I'll tell you that for free.
Right. I'll tell you that for free.
That's great.
And I think that's like the essence of like, amidst the chaos, amidst all the shit that's going on, there is still something you can find that's okay, good. And it doesn't have to be wonderful.
And it doesn't have to erase the heart. It's just something to cling to, folks, because we got to have hope. And that's where the hope is found. And it's not to invalidate. It's not to say all the other terrible, hard things aren't occurring and happening and have happened. It's to say, like, where can you find the hope today? Where can you find, and maybe instead of saying, what am I grateful for? You say, where can I find hope today? And I mean, like the other day I was feeling pretty hopeless and I was like, I hope it doesn't rain more. I'm like, well, I found my hope, So that worked. Or I hope my hair stays good for my new video podcast. But whether or not you have to like really manufacture some version of hope, I just think it's very important that one does that through the dark times. And whether that's loss of a person, loss of a relationship, a job, a car, I mean, I don't know. It's all loss.
And it's what you brought up earlier, kind of the compare and despair. Everyone will react differently to a quote unquote similar situation, right? Yeah. And so some person might be like, oh, divorce was a breeze. I don't know many people like that, but it might not have the same impact.
Yeah.
And so if we just allow ourselves to be in our own experience and not try to get into someone else's experience, well, they started dating and I don't even know what that would look like for me. And it's like, well, that's not helpful to you.
Right. It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant, 100%.
All the stories, so many stories. And I mean, if you're listening right now, I just really challenge you, like, what's one either whole version of a story or a chapter or a couple sentences of your story that you could just say, I'm going to consciously live without that part, because after being in any relationship for an enormous amount of time or an enormous amount of intimacy and dedication, a story develops about our place in the world that most likely doesn't apply to you anymore, right? Because you're not that person anymore. So what part of that story can you consciously set down? And I think that could even be part of like a ritual. I mean, one of the articles in Psychology Today talks about, like, in the March edition says, what's one small thing you can do differently right now to move toward what matters most? And what a beautiful question. What's one small thing you can do differently right now to move toward what matters most? And I mean, a lot of times for me, that's like self-forgiveness, self-compassion, because I'm not conditioned to just like dish that out to myself.
Wouldn't it be great if we were taught that?
It would.
In in elementary
40,
school?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah. Love yourself.
Love yourself. You're not I mean, the culture in which I grew up in the religious things, it was like almost a sin. Treat your body like a temple, but you better not get too sassy with loving it, because then you're going straight to hell. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, and that's part of like the deconditioning of what we were taught in our childhood, what we were taught about marriage, and that this should be forever. Well, statistically, 50% of people get divorced. So we've got to kind of reframe that, right? Of like, maybe it's this is my partner for now. Yeah. And being like, let's
trust the process.
Trust the process.
Do you think there's a difference between certainty and guarantees?
I mean, I think when I think of guarantees, I'm like money back guarantee, right? And so there's you dive in because you're like, oh, well, it's guaranteed. So if I buy, if I go to Nordstrom's and I buy that pair of pants and it doesn't, they'll take it back. Guaranteed. And so you maybe go into it with more like just unabandoned, I don't know what the word, like you just dive in. Maybe you're like, okay,
I think there's more trust.
there's more trust. Yes, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
Thank you.
There's more trust.
There's more trust. And then the certainty piece is like, well, because like the converse is uncertainty. And so you're like, there's always, I don't know. Am I certain? I don't know if I'm certain.
Yeah.
Because people ask me that, actually, this is a good one. People ask me that all the time. How do I know if I should get divorced?
Oh gosh. And then when people tell you, you'll just know, I'm like, it's not working, you guys. I don't just know. I don't just know.
Yeah. No, and I'm not an advocate for divorce. And I will say this time and time again. I am an advocate for you making the right decision for you and your family. And if that takes you, if you decide there's a breaking point and then I'm like, I'm out, or if it takes you 6 years, but this is not like, I had a therapist once say to me years ago, our couples therapist, and he said, divorce is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. You want to make sure you're 100% certain. There's that word.
Boof. I don't know. Is that possible? I mean,
I don't know.
Sometimes the other party makes it very certain. And there you have it. And in my case, I think that's where I ended up finding my certainty is he made it certain.
Yeah. Yes.
But up until then, there was no certainty. And there was certainly no freaking guarantee. And I think that marching through grief, one of the things we yearn for is like this guarantee that I'm going to make it. Mm-hmm. Guarantee that this won't ever happen to me again. Guarantee that I am so protected that I'm not putting up with no way. Mm-hmm. I'm all set. Mm-hmm. Or I'm so weakened, we're searching for this guarantee because there's so much mystery involved in grief and loss that it's like, I mean, for years I've watched the same TV show basically on repeat because my brain is like, well, I'm guaranteed on this one because I know exactly who killed who. My best friend Olivia Benson is on the scene. Like, we're good. It's all guaranteed, right? I guarantee I won't be surprised. I guarantee I'm not going to be caught off guard. I'm guaranteed I don't even have to really watch it. It can just be my friends, Olivia and Elliot in the background. It's good. Mm-hmm. I've actually switched to just regular Law and Order, but, anyway, I digress. However, we manufacture these guarantees, I think, in times of such mystery. And I do challenge us to think about the difference between searching for a guarantee and searching for certainty, because I think if we're looking for certainty, it requires that we're in the moment because you are only ever as certain as you are right now.
I love that.
About anything, right?
Yeah.
This is it, folks.
Yeah. Well, and that's when we can just be in the now, because I think we often want to go back into the past and be like, oh, well, if this just hadn't happened, or if I could change that. And it's like, that's going to just take up a lot of your mind space and energy. And then we try to look into the future. Like, well, what if that happens? Well, I mean, what if you get hit by a car, right? I mean, it's like, we don't know. Mm-hmm. And so the essence is, if we can be in this, the only certainty is now, right?
Right.
And we have just this to work with. And we want that guarantee that we will, everything's going to work out in life. And
you don't get it. I'm so sorry.
No.
There's no guarantees. And we say that flippantly, but I think we operate like there are guarantees that we're just missing somehow or deprived of. And they just don't actually exist, because the guarantee that I'm going to be safe all the time, or my children, I know for sure that's not a guarantee. But the certainty is that I want to be safe, and I want my kids to be safe, and I want to drive around in a car, and the certainty lives in the moment, and the guarantee is a fantasy for the future. And I think if we cling to the guarantee in any form of grief, we are holding back the process of trusting. Because you can't. Because there's some little voice that says, there's no guarantees, especially once you've experienced adversity. You know firsthand, there's no guarantees. So then you're fighting with yourself. So what does it mean to shift from guarantee to certainty? I like this. This is new for me right now. This is new content, guys.
This is great.
I like it.
This is great. And I think maybe the listeners out there can, I'd be curious what people's experience is with this. Are you guys do you feel like this is resonating? Because I'm it's kind of like a light bulb just went off.
Good.
An aha moment.
So I could bill for this hour?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got to wrap up. I'm sad about wrapping up because this has been really good.
It's been fantastic.
Thank you so much. And, you know, everybody, I don't know where things end up, but come to our social media, comment on this episode. I assume you're watching this on YouTube. I think that's where it will land. And write about it, talk about it, follow us. Steph, where can we find you?
So you can find me on my website, Rise Life Coach. And and I can't remember what my Instagram handle is.
Look at how terrible we are. But you know what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the producer, Kevin, who's amazing, is doing his job very well. And he will have that in the show notes, guys. My Instagram handle, I know, is Clear Mourning. I think. No, it is. It is. And the podcast is Enduring Grief, Healing Practices and True Stories of Living After Loss. And what you've heard today are healing practices. We've given you tools, tricks, things to think about in new ways, and true stories. Steph and I have been through it. No greater credibility than having walked the path, honestly. Even if your path feels drastically different, I hope you were able to pluck something from this that feels familiar or helpful. And we look forward to seeing you in the next space. Thank you, Steph, for being here.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.